பண்ணிடலாங்க சார்.
ஓகே. அகில இந்திய கட்டுநர் கழகம் கோவை மையத்தின் சார்பாக நடத்தப்படும் ஆன்லைன் இன்டர்ன்ஷிப் ப்ரோக்ராம் சீரியஸ் 2 இன்றைய நிகழ்விற்கு கிட்டத்தட்ட 10ஆம் நாள். இன்றைய 10ஆம் நாள் நிகழ்விற்கு சிறப்பு விருந்தினராக வந்திருக்கும் இனிய நண்பர் ஆர்கிடெக்ட் ஆர் காமேஷ் அவர்களை இந்த மாலை வேளையில் வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்பதில் அகில இந்திய கட்டுநர் கழகம் பெருமிதம் கொள்கின்றது. மேலும் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில் இணைந்திருக்கும் அனைத்து பொறியியல் கல்லூரி பேராசிரியர் பெருமக்களையும் ஆசிரியர் பெருமக்களையும் மாணவ செல்வங்களையும் அகில இந்திய கட்டுநர் கழகத்தின் அனைத்து உறுப்பினர்களையும் வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்பதில் பெருமகிழ்ச்சி அடைகின்றேன். இன்றைய சிறப்பு விருந்தினர் திரு காமேஷ் அவர்கள், அவரை விட அவருடைய தந்தையார் அவர்கள் 32 வருடங்களாக இனிய நண்பர். ஸோ அவரது மகன் திரு காமேஷ் அவர்கள் பிஆர் முடித்து எம்ஆர் முடித்து கல்லூரியில் விரிவுரையாளராகவும் மேலும் இந்த ஆர்கிடெக்சரல் பணியில் மிகச்சிறந்த முறையில் தனிப்பட்ட முறையிலும் மிக சிறப்பாக கொண்டிருக்கின்றார்கள். நம்ம இந்த ஒரு டீம் நம்மளுடைய ஆர்கனைசேஷன் டீம் பிளானிங் ஆஃப் எ ரெசிடென்ஷியல் பில்டிங் என்ற தலைப்பில் மாணவர்களுக்கு அனுபவத்தை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளலாம் அப்படின்னு பேசிட்டு இருக்கும்போதே குரூப்பில் சொன்னாங்க, ஒரு இளம் ஆர்கிடெக்டர் வச்சுருந்தோம்னா நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போது எனக்கு டக்குன்னு எனக்கு ஞாபகத்துக்கு வந்தது ஆர்கிடெக்ட் காமர்ஸ் தான். நல்லா மிகச்சிறப்பாக பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காரு. ஸோ அவருடைய அவருடைய அனுபவங்கள் நமக்கு மிக்க பயனுள்ளதாக இருக்கும் என்று கூறிக்கொண்டு திரு காமேஷ் அவர்களை தன்னைத்தானே அறிமுகப்படுத்தி கொண்டு தனது உரையை ஆரம்பிக்குமாறு கேட்டுக்கொள்கின்றேன். திரு காமேஷ்.
வணக்கம் சார். குட் ஈவினிங் டு எவ்ரி ஒன். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நான் என்னை பற்றி இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். நேம் காமேஷ், ஃபாதர் நேம் ரவிசெல்வன். ஸோ பார்ன் அண்ட் பாட்டப் எல்லாமே கோயம்புத்தூர் தான். பிஆர்க் முடித்தது சென்னை SRM யூனிவர்சிட்டியில் 2013. அதுக்கப்புறம் எம்ஆர்க் இன்டீரியர் டிசைன் இதில் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். 2015 எம்ஆர்க் முடிச்சிருக்கேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் பாஸ்ட் 5 இயர்ஸ் ஃபீல்டில் ப்ராக்டிஸும் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். பாஸ்ட் 2 இயர்ஸ் டீச்சிங்கும் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் பார்ட் டைமாக காலேஜில். இங்கே கோயம்புத்தூரில் SVS காலேஜில் இப்போ கரண்டாக பார்ட் டைம் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு ஃபீல்டில் இன்டீரியர்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆர்கிடெக்சர் ரெண்டுமே பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். ஸோ I guess the introduction about me will be more sufficient. We'll go into the topic first. Sir, நான் screen share பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
Yes, sir.
Sir, screen தெரியுதுங்களா?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So let me start with the topic. So first it will be like a residential building. So first I'll give a functional planning of a residential building என்னென்ன அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு outline. So functional planning, introduction, factors considered on studying of site, principles of planning a residential buildings. So these are the outlines what we are going to cover up today. So first starting with functional planning, a prerequisite of any type of building, planning imparts good environmental or living, working and recreation. So a well-built, a well-planned or efficient and comfortable living with an environment required for building up happy, healthy and beautiful, cheerful, peaceful lives. So we all must have known about how residence plays an important role in each and everyone's life. So it's a space where emotions or where we rest or everything depends upon it. So our health, our happiness, everything is related on a residence. So we'll see how this planning concepts and planning of a residential building plays a very important role in all the aspects of life. So first introduction, planners keep the perspective of interior of spaces for better results and economy. Moreover, it does correlate the scientific factors of natural sources and Vastu Shastra. So what is Vastu Shastra is to achieve mental and physical comforts of a residence. So the next thing is one must study the site before planning the site. Okay. So we'll have a general introduction about Vastu Shastra also. So general introduction only. I'm not going in deep about Vastu Shastra because we'll have a just basic layout of Vastu Shastra so that you'll be having a basic knowledge while planning for a residence. So going for an Vastu Shastra, it's like based on your directions only. Vastu Shastra is mainly dependent. So north, south, west, and east. So you can see that this is a basic of Vastu Shastras and basic location of each and every spaces. According to Vastu Shastra, each individual will be having a different opinion on Vastu Shastra. So according to me, if you take about Vastu Shastra, is basically one of the scientific aspect I'll be mentioning it in. So based on the science, so there are certain locations where the certain spaces should be given. There's behind the science, there's a reason behind it why the particular space is being given. So I'll be saying a few examples why these spaces should be given. Like north southeast corner should be always for kitchen, and northwest should always be it can be well utilized for a toilet. So because why this reason is because of the wind direction. So based on the wind direction, either southeast or northwest wind direction will be prevailing over the in our south in Indian context. So based on that, the even in fact, if you're cooking in a kitchen, the smoke can be traveled along with the wind. Or even if your toilet is provided in the northwest, it can be the smell can be traveled along the wind itself. So without avoiding your other two spaces, which is perfectly suitable for your resting spaces like bedroom and other lively spaces. Okay, so this is the basic example of Vastu Shastra, and I have given you the basic location of where each space could have been provided. So moving on to the next thing, layout of a site. So initially, while starting from a plan, we should always start from the site. So site is considered as the main example from where we should start. So we can say about what is a good site and what is a bad site. Depending upon this Vastu Shastra, also site has been located along with it. So a good sites indicates it should have a proper access and it should have a proper neighborhood spaces. So corner sites is considered as a good site only if the location is perfectly suitable. For example, northeast corner site and northwest corner site can be considered, but the southwest corner site should be avoided because of the wind direction and wind pattern. Okay. So factors considered on site or on studying of a site. So what you should consider while taking up the site is location of the site, study of the site with respect to the surrounding sites, study of geographical and geological conditions of the site, climatic conditions, survey map, average air direction, and network of road pattern. So these 7 points will be considering majorly for when you take about the site. The next 5 points is services available today, expected tomorrow. Like what are the services like water, drainage facilities, other things. Then environmental conditions. Is the site perfectly suitable for a residential building? For example, there may be many sites which is located on the outskirts of a city or in midst of a industrial town or in midst of a commercial town, which as considered to be an environmental aspects, these sites are not considering good for a residential building. Then the 10th point will be mode of transportation. So how well the site is connected through means of transportation. Few people nowadays, everyone is having a mode of transportation as a vehicular transportation, 2-wheelers and 4-wheelers we are having. But in other aspects, there are a few other conditions where common mode of transportation is also considered for accessing a site. So those modes of transportation has to be considered. Then next to a transportation is about the types of labor available. So while you're taking about site, what types of labor is available? Skilled labor or unskilled labor or semi-skilled labor? What types of labor is available? So next one is types of equipments on constructions. So what are the equipments available on the surrounding neighborhood? So we have to adopt to a particular site. We have to take up the equipments to the site. How much distance we have to travel to taking up the equipments? All these things to be considered. Then the time available for planning and execution of work till finish. These things will come under project management, which is planning and execution of work. So moving on to next thing is form of circle. So how we will start with planning out the site is form of a circulation diagram to decide the forms of spaces. Form follows function to decide various dimensions possibles. Okay, so taking about the form of spaces, there's different space inside a residential building. For example, you may know about kitchen space, a dining space, a living space, a bedroom space, a restroom space. All these are different kinds of interior spaces. So each space has been named on which their function is followed. So for example, a bedroom is for taking rest, a living room is for lively functions, a dining is for eating, and the kitchen is for cooking. So these are the functions on which the spaces has been designed. So based on this function only, a form of spaces has been followed. So first, we'll be evolving the planning using your function. So evolution of bubble diagram to a finished floor plan. So how we will be going with the bubble diagram to finished floor plan. Okay. So first we will be dividing the spaces into 3 zones. So what are the 3 zones? Is private zone, a work zone, and a social zone. These 3 general zones of activities which will be happening inside a residential space. So these 3 zones, what is the function beneath these 3 zones? If you take out, private zone will be your bedroom spaces, where your bedroom spaces will be occupied only by you and your close ones. Then the workspace will be like a kitchen and dining or a family space including. So it is like where other people in your family will be also accessing the space. So it will be a semi-privatized space. Then third one comes to social spaces. That is your entry, garage, and living space, where people from other third persons or other families or other persons can access, and they will be having an interaction with you. So those spaces are called as social spaces. So where it is more of a non-private space, where everyone other people can come in, they will have a discussion with you. So it depends upon each one's characters and each one's profession maybe. Then moving on to that, from these aspects will be refined to show zones divided into their rooms and their relationship to one another. So now you can see how the rooms has been connected from each and every space. So third one is be redrawn to show size and shape of rooms and traffic between them. So traffic is nothing but the circulation between them. So types and shapes show size and shapes represents what these bubble diagrams can be converted into a size and shape of a room. So a room can be a square shape or a rectangular shape. We'll be in upcoming slides. We'll be reading about the shapes of the rooms and how we can adopt for that. Okay. Then the fourth one is clearly planning the floor plan defines architectural elements such as walls, doors, and windows. So with these elements, we'll be clearly finalizing your floor plan. That is your walls, doors, and windows, and all your openings, etc. Okay. So what is the principles of planning? So there is 10 principles on planning. So we'll be seeing each and every principle. So first principle will be aspect. Aspect in the sense is meant for arrangement of doors and windows in the external walls of the building, which allows the natural gifts of sunshine, air, and scenery. So based on these aspects, only a space can be designed. Opening maybe a door or window, where it is located, and how well it is connected with the nature, how your wind movement is been based on the wind movement, and based on your sunlight, your space can be designed, and your opening could have been also designed based on that. So that is first thing called as aspect. So now,
sorry, Kamesh,
sir, சொல்லுங்க sir.
கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோவா, இன்னும் கொஞ்சம்.
ஓகே சார், ஓகே ஃபைன்.
எனக்கே கொஞ்சம் ஃபாலோ பண்ற சிரமமா இருக்குது, இந்த ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் சிரமமா இருக்கும்.
ஓகே சார், ஓகே சார்.
இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோவா. யா, ஓகே.
Okay sir.
Yeah.
So first thing is about so we'll start with the aspect. So aspect is like if you place your considering your bedroom, I'll be explaining now. So to reduce your plentiful of breeze in summer, so how your bed can be placed in your northwest direction or west direction or your southeast direction. So breeze in your summer can be related to your kitchen, and to receive morning sun, the purifier air, it should be cool during the summer. So the dining room can be located in southeast, south or southwest. Proximity of kitchen should be cool, so that how the dining should be placed adjacent to the kitchen as well. Same wise, if you have you can place your living room in your northwest or northeast or east direction, because it may receive your morning sunlight. So So it's good to have a morning sunlight inside your living space rather than having it in your bedroom space or a kitchen space. So kitchen space should have a already the kitchen space will be a hotter one. You may all very well know about the kitchen space. It will be a hotter one. So avoiding the direct sunlight inside a kitchen, it will be very good for a person to use the space. So the next topic will be prospect. So prospect is to determine by the views desired from certain rooms of the house and is interest by the surroundings peculiarities of the selected site. So prospect is nothing about how your projections and how your windows is been located and how well those prospect is been refined from the outside perspective. So we are seeing a building from the outside view. So there may be lots of windows, maybe window provisions may be there, but what is the functional element of the windows can be prospected from the interior spaces. Like for example, these are the three examples. I have three images I have shown in below. So these three images, each one you can see these two images is like a bay window. You can have a seating around the space, and this is also having a separate space, and you are providing a window over here. But if you consider the first image, you'll be having windows on either sides, and it will be covered with the front wall. So these three prospects is based on your sunlight and your wind direction maybe. For example, if you take about the sunlight, in the first image, if you take the sunlight won't be entering your space directly because it's been entrapped with the wall. So on the sides, it is being covered with windows. On the second example, if you see, the window has been located on the front facade so that your sunlight will be directly entering into the space. So depending upon the function of the spaces, the window provisions may be given. And the third prospect will be, it's located on all the windows is given on all the three sides. So it will be good for a living space in the morning so that the sunlight will enter from all the three directions. Okay. So these are the things about prospect. The next one is furniture requirements. It's first one is the functional requirement of a room decides the required furniture. It is better to prepare a sketch and indicating the position of furnitures, which helps position of doors, windows, circulation space, and size of the room. Okay. So coming to the next point is after providing of windows and doors. So obviously we'll be providing a window and a door for a particular room. So taking about the furniture requirement of the room, these provision of a windows could have been transformed or changed into whatever thing based on a user comfortability. So furniture requirements, I'll take about an example. Living space will be considering of sofas. Sofas will be placing inside a living space. Sofas can be of different types of sofas. Is there L corner sofas, or 3-seater, or a 2-seater, or a single-seater? So for basically we are taking a 3-seater and a 2 single-seater sofas. So how the furniture has been placed based on the furniture placements.
Sorry to interrupt. நீங்க PPT ஸ்லைட் ஷோ இல்ல வேற ஏதாவது PPT ப்ரொஜெக்ட் பண்றேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். கிளியரா வரல சார்.
சார் இது வருதுங்களா?
இது வருதுங்க சார்.
இதுக்கு முன்னாடி வேற ஏதாவது வந்துச்சுங்களா?
இல்ல வேற ஏதாவது ப்ரொஜெக்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம் கிடையாது. ஸ்லைட் ஷோட பெட்டரா இருக்கும் சார். நம்ம சில பேர் மொபைல்ல பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பாங்க. ரொம்ப சின்னதா இருக்கும் சார்.
ஓகே. ஸ்லைட் ஷோ பண்ண சொல்றீங்களா?
ஆமா சார்.
Okay, sir. Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah.
So depending upon this furniture requirements, it's better to have a location of your opening spaces accordingly. So moving to the next one is roominess. Roominess refers to the effect produced by the deriving the maximum benefits from the minimum dimension of the room, giving due importance to the furniture placements in the room. Factors affecting the roominess are size of the room, shape of the room, furniture used, position of doors and windows. Okay. So first thing we'll be explain what is roominess. Roominess is nothing but how the room has been designed or how the space has been designed. So it could have been a bigger space. For example, I can take about a 16 feet by 16 feet bedroom, but placing in a 16 feet by 16 feet bedroom, these factors, the shape, the furniture, and the position of doors and windows will affect the roominess. For example, if I'm taking a 16 feet by 16 feet window, and I'm providing only 2 windows of only 2 feet width and on either walls, and providing a bigger furniture, bigger king size bed, and also a wardrobe spaces. So these furnitures and the position of the windows will affect the roominess and makes the room to feel it's a smaller space. But in fact, if you provide the same 16 feet by 16 feet room with a bigger window of 6 feet on one side and a 4 feet on another side windows, with a queen size bed and a small wardrobe spaces, the roominess will have more effect on the person using that. You will feel it as a more bigger space, even it is having the same size. So that's about the roominess. Then the grouping. Grouping consists in arranging the layout in typical fashion so that all rooms are placed in proper correlation of their functional in due proximity with each other. So grouping is nothing but how each and every relation a relation or a function of the space is grouped together, and how the space has been arranged, and what is the relationship between one space to another space. For example, if you take two bedrooms can be placed adjacent to each other. But if you take about a bedroom adjacent to a maybe a home theater space, it's better to avoid a home theater space nearby a bedroom, because the function of home theater will be noisy and the function of a bedroom will be it's a resting space. So grouping is very, very important. So this is how the grouping has been done. You can see. So first, what we are doing, we are having a hall. So from the hall, what and all things can be connected. From the common room, you can access hall. From the dining, you can access hall. From the hall, you can access guest room and the toilet. From the foyer, you can access common room. So common room is a room like in between the foyer and the hall we have been providing. So it's also acting as a space. We can also say it as an informal living, and this is a formal living space. So from that space we can access dining, and from only dining through dining we can access kitchen. So other spaces you can access from the common room itself, 2 bedrooms with attached toilets. So next thing comes the circulation. So circulation is nothing but movement of a user inside a space. So this movement of a user inside a space is of 2 types. One is horizontal circulation, another one is vertical circulation. So horizontal circulation is like if you're having a ground floor residential building, the movement of a person from in the horizontal direction inside a space, from a living to a dining to a kitchen, or a kitchen to a bedroom, or dining to a bedroom and bedroom to a toilet. So these circulations comes under horizontal circulation. So when we take about vertical circulation, then we are taking about the staircase and moving to the top floor. So how this connectivity is happening is called as a vertical circulation. So these are the 2 types of circulation existing, and we have to take into consideration while planning about the residence. The next one is the privacy. Privacy is very, very important principle while planning for a residential building, and also for general buildings also privacy is important, but while planning for a residential building it takes very much important that you consider about the privacy. So in terms of privacy, there's 2 types of privacy. One is internal privacy, another one is external privacy. So internal privacy refers to your bedroom spaces and your private spaces where only 2 or 3 persons 1 or 2 persons sharing the space can have. That is your internal private spaces. The next one is your external privacy. That comes to your dining and living spaces, where you will be using the space. Same wise, you should have an external privacy within your family circle. So others from outside your family circle, from them you should have a privacy space. So that is the difference between an internal privacy and an external privacy. So the next aspect is ventilation. So good ventilation is an important factor in comfortability of a building. So ventilation is the change of air inside a room. Requirement of space and air is required. Okay. So when we take about the ventilation, most of them are using air conditions right now. But using of air conditions is not very much advisable on all the times. Maybe in few areas or few times a day, air conditioned space will be comfortable. But good ventilated, naturally ventilated space will have a major impact than an air conditioned space. So how you will provide a ventilation space? So for providing a good ventilated space to make a person very comfortable through natural ventilation, first a person should study about the wind direction wind path of a certain site. Okay, so we must have gone to different locations of different scenarios, or in different climatic different time period also. So from one period in a year, wind direction maybe from one direction. In another a few months, the wind direction may change from one direction to another direction. So depending upon those aspects, if we design the ventilation for a building, it will be very much comfortable. So a person can be a space can be well ventilated, and the user can would have been very much comfortable inside a building. So that's about ventilation. The next one is sanitation. For sanitation, we must provide proper light and ventilation facilities for general cleaning and sanitary convenience. To mention hygienic condition of the building. So light is a primary significance. Sunlight destroying decreases germ. Okay. So the first thing is how we will be providing a sanitation. So sanitation is very important inside a building. If it is not properly maintained, it will create a hygienic disinfection inside for the users. So sanitation is very, very important, and how good the sanitation you are providing, that will help you in sorting out the service aspects. So we'll be taking care of the service as you must have been studied in detail study of your service aspects in other sessions. So this is just a basic principle what we have to consider while planning. So next one is we'll go deep inside the planning concepts. So first thing is space planning. Two basic kinds of knowledge are needed. So first, to do a space planning. So first thing is knowing what things need to be included: partitions, rooms, furnishings, and accessories. How to organize those things to achieve a function and potentially a good solution. Okay, first thing we have to consider where not walls should come, that is acts as partitions. Okay, so how these walls can be defined to form a room. So 4 walls created to form a particular room. So how these walls could have been created to form a room, and inside the room how the furniture spaces could have been provided, and also few accessories. Okay, so these elements combine to know the basics of planning. So with these elements in your hands, we have to think about how to organize these elements. So where to use these elements, where to furnish, and where to give a wall, how this wall could have been functioned. So all these things will come under spatial planning. So the thing is, fixed architectural elements are typically given and cannot be changed. Structural columns. See, these are structural elements, and interior architectural elements, doors and partitions, etc. Furnishing, FF and E, lighting and equipment. Okay, so these are 3 elements we'll be considering while doing a spatial planning. First thing is architectural elements like structural columns, which cannot be changed, which is very, very important for when designing a building. Okay, then the second element is doors and windows. Okay, this can be changed based on the construction site itself while doing your construction itself. Depending upon the spaces, the position of doors and windows can be shifted and changed. Okay, this is partially changing elements. Then furnishes and lighting equipments. These things can be changed whenever you want and on based on your needs. Okay, so inside a space, the furnishing of an elements can be changed at whatever time you want, whenever, how comfortably if you want. So anatomy of a space plan. So we'll look into each space, how the anatomy is being provided. So producing a good plan is not an easy task, requires trial and error of many refinements. When asking someone what do you see, they will state the obvious kitchen size. The designers note such as efficiency, flow, correct placement of rooms, shape of rooms, etc. So for designing a basic layout of a plan, it's not very easy, but it's not very difficult also. A person can learn about the function of a space, and depending upon the function of a space, each room could have been planned and designed. So for example, a living room, first point when you take about designing a room, how much person using the room. Okay, so this is about a small house. I'm just explaining and taking about example of a small house, and I'll be explaining how the planning of this house has been done. So first living, we'll be taking about the example. So how many persons are using the living space? So for example, this living space is used by 4 persons. So for a 4-person usage, the living space has been designed for this much size. So the size and shape is also very, very important while you're considering a living room. Then comes your dining space. For a 4-person, how much dining space should be there? A 4-seater table should be properly placed, and apart from that, a circulation behind the table should be also sufficient for a person to move out. Then your kitchen space. So kitchen space should be enough, more than sufficient for a person to cook for 4 peoples. Okay. Then apart from that, 2 bedroom spaces. 1 bedroom can be occupied for 2 people. Such a bedroom space, and according to that, restroom spaces can also be provided. So this is the anatomy of a space plan. How in depth, based on the number of users and based on the size of the family, a space can be designed. So what is the good room? Or how can we say that this space is very good and the space has been effectively planned? So based on the 5 topics, this a good room can be judged as a good room. So what are those things? First thing is the envelope, contents, connection, flow, and scale. So we'll see what is these 5 topics, 5 principles of room design. Okay, into a room. Taking about the entire residence, we'll now go to a particular room. So inside a particular room, these 5 topics are very, very important. One is envelope, contents, connections, flow, and scales. So taking about the envelope, a spatial envelope is functional and comfortable. It is a right size and good shape and proportion. So envelope is nothing but how the room has been covered. So for example, in our scenarios, the room has been covered with 4 walls. So these 4 walls, how it has been located, and how these 4 walls define the shape of the room, and how the shape of the room will give you a proper functional attainment of a space. So moving from envelope to the next one is contents. The contents are the furnishing equipments, accessories that is placed inside the room. So when we talk about the furnishing equipments, so not only sofas, apart from that, there is other furnishing equipments also, like side tables, TV units, other library spaces, etc. also comes under the furnishing equipments. If you take about a bedroom, there will be a cot and there will be a side table, etc. So all these furnishing equipments together forms the point of content. The next one is connections. Connection is how well the room is connected to other rooms. Okay, so we are having a dining space in between. If a dining space is connected to a kitchen, it's well and good. That's how a space should be designed. We can't place a common room, or we can't place a bedroom in between a dining room and a kitchen, right? So the connection between these 2 spaces is very, very important. Same way, the dining can be connected to a bedroom also as well. A living room can also be connected to a bedroom. So there the connection is very, very important for a particular rooms. Then the next one is flow. Flow is nothing but the way you use the room and the way you walk around the room. Like if you take about the example of a bedroom space, there will be a bed located. Apart from the bed, we can have a wardrobe spaces, we can have a dressing spaces, we can have a TV unit spaces, or we can have a small study unit space also inside a bedroom. So these few things are inside a bedroom space. So apart from that, how well you are using the space, how well your flow or a circulation inside the space is that. Is it comfortable for you to use the space inside? If you place a bed or a cot in middle of the room, and if you allow a person to move all around the cot, it will be very, very difficult for a person to use the space. So you'll be always running around the cot. So it's good that the cart is connected to one wall, and space circulation should be very well effectively placed. The next thing is the scale. So scale is nothing but the size of the room. So the size of the room already we spoke about depending upon the user, but nowadays a user tends to have multiple functions. For example, take about myself, I want my bedroom space to have not only for a bed space, it should be also filled with my study spaces and my partially working space. So I need my working space, or small working space inside my bedroom itself. Apart from this, I have a walking wardrobe spaces and a dressing space, and also a attached toilet spaces. So these spaces together form my bedroom spaces. So these two things together form the scale of the space. So depending upon the function or a particular need of a person, a scale of the space can be determined. So shape and proportion. So we talked about the initial thing. So shape and proportion, how the shape and proportion should be. So these are the different ratios of shapes: circular, square. Square is 1:1 ratio. Diagonal or square 1:1.4 ratio. Square plus third 3:4 ratio. Square plus half 2:3 ratio. Square plus 2/3 3:5 ratio, or double square 1:2 ratios. So depending upon these aspects, we will be planning a space, shape and proportion of a room. So not many shapes and proportions will produce a good room. Rectangular rooms are most common. Avoid overlay or long and narrow rooms. So if the length of the room exceeds its width, the proportion becomes uncomfortably narrow, its relation to its length. For example, we will be avoiding a double square, because the reason is the room will become too much narrow and it will be very hard for you to use. So maximum we can go till square plus 2/3, and it's very well to avoid a double square. So the reason is, if the width of the room is 10 feet, don't go, the length of the room should be less than 20 feet. Okay, shouldn't go till 20 feet itself. So the double the length will be the making the room very much narrow. So if a perfect square is square plus half, that is 2:3 ratio, is a perfect rectangle that can be used for a room. Okay, circular rooms can be used. Circular rooms help you in giving a space a bigger feel, a more amount of area space, but there's lots of negative aspects in taking about the circular space in terms of structural elements, placing of columns, doors, etc. So next one is provision of windows. So we'll see about how to provide a window. So always consider the windows when placing your furnitures. They provide views. Natural lightings can be also cross glare, too much heat, or a bad view. Decide on a case by case basis. Okay. So when we see these are 5 different examples I have been provided. So first one will be placement of a bed and a desk by the window offers direct relationship with exterior. Okay. So when you place a bed, it's very good to place a window on the side of the bed rather than having a window on a head side or a front side. It's very good to have a window on the sideways, so that after lying in the bed, it's very good to have a view. So, but also one more important thing is avoid a direct impact of a natural light inside a bed space. So nowadays we are using curtains, so it's not a bigger issue. But taking about when we are designing, it's a smaller issue. So the next one is living space. Space can be 3 examples I have provided for living space. The first space can be providing of a bigger window on the sides of the space. The second one is this one is like providing a corner window space, and this one will be providing a window space directly opposite to the seating space. So we won't be going with the third one. We'll be going with second one, or sorry, we won't be going with the fourth one. We'll be going with the second one or the third one mostly. So most probably all the Indian context and all the modern day context, we are going with the second one. So why we are going with the second one is we'll be having a seating space directly opposite to the seating space. We'll be having a TV unit. So it's good to have a visual effect for a TV unit. On the sides, we'll be having a window space, and try to provide a seating space such like this, because what will happen is the reflection of your opening will be always seen in the TV. So in this spaces, the direction of the reflection is more on the sideways. So when you're sitting straight in front of the TV, your reflection is not much. Okay. Then the next one is about the circulation. So how your circulation can be provided based on each different types of rooms. So based on circulation, 4th thing is entry point, main space, clearances, and exit points. So these are the 4 things how for each and every space how a circulation can be. So central approach is the first one. So you are entering from the center. Then central approach 2, central approach 3. That is, we are entering from the center and we are dividing it on the 2 sides for a function. Okay, and we are also moving towards the next functional spaces also. The third one is central approach 3. Central approach 3 is we are entering from the center, but we are moving towards the side to access the other side of the space based on the function. For example, a bigger seating space, we have to move on the other sides. Then the next one is lateral approach. So lateral approach 1, lateral approach 2, lateral approach 3. So first one is we are entering from one side. We can enter on two sides of a dining space. This is lateral approach 2. Lateral approach 2 is also if we are entering from one side, but we are having another function over here, and we are entering to on the other two sides. Then the lateral approach 3 is dividing the function of the space into two sides. So you are entering through one side, you will be having two sides approach, and you will be also traveling towards the third side. So this is about the lateral approach. The third one is your diagonal approach. Diagonal approach is entering from one side, moving to other side for exiting. Okay, so entry point and exit point located on your other diagonal sides. Here and all, if you see, entry point and exit point will be located on the opposite sides. So here it will be located on the diagonal sides. So for example, in a living space, you are entering from one side, we will be having your exit points on the other side. Same way for dining, we are having an entry on one side and exit on other side. Here, the entire seating space has been provided in such a way, your exit point has to be, the circulation space has to be traveled along the periphery to exit, approach the other exit point. But when you have here, such a seating space will enhance your circulation space. You can walk through the middle itself to access your other exit points. So this is about circulation. So the next one is residential zones, like we discussed in the beginning about this itself. Socialized, private, and workspaces. This is few things about what are the things will come under social spaces. Your public area, entry, family room, living room, media room, game room, etc. will comes under social spaces. Your private rooms, private areas such as bedroom and bathrooms, etc. Workspace such as kitchen, laundry, storage, office space. Most of this area should not be direct view of the guest except kitchen. Okay, so this is how the zones has been divided. So evaluating the plan. So traffic patterns, how do you move from room to room? So this is how we will be considering a traffic pattern, how we will be moving from one room to another room. That's the traffic flow through the conversation areas. That's the traffic flow through a meal preparation area. That's the traffic flow through a private area. Is there a good flow from service entrances? So these things should be considered. For example, moving from one room to another room, you shouldn't take about the person to move through a conversational area. Conversation areas is like a living space or a small family living space also as a conversation area. So where two peoples will sit, calmly have a discussion on something. During those conversations, if you have a movement around inside the space, it will be very uncomfortable for a person to have a conversation. So conversations area shouldn't be having interrupted. The next one is meal preparation area. Traffic flow shouldn't be through a meal preparation area. The meal preparation area, obviously it will be adjacent to your kitchen space. So what they meant to say is your traffic shouldn't be through kitchen space. Okay, then a proper connectivity from the service entrances. Okay, then there is a note: when evaluating a plan or a home, don't let the beauty of architecture, furniture, and accessories distract your judgment. Okay, so furnitures and accessories can be changed. Don't design a space based on your furnitures and accessories. Design a space, then after that, for the particular space of furnitures or accessories can be incorporated. Okay, then the next one is look for poorly located doors, windows, and closets. Are they conveniently located, or do they interfere with good furniture arrangements and traffic patterns? Is there adequate storage space inside and out? Is the plan effectively oriented on the site? The climate controls, privacy and views, garage door openings to the side. Look for adjacencies of rooms. Do they function in relationship to each other? Is the space appropriately located? So all these things we have to consider while taking about evaluating a plan. So how well the doors and windows has been provided? Is there a well ventilated space? Is the door provided properly? Accessibility is that the entry point and exit point is being located based on your design. How well it has been designed? Is it very easy to access from one space to another space, or the window provisions is good for a particular ventilated space? All these things we have to consider while evaluating a plan. Then common trafficking considerations. Common trafficking considerations. So kitchen, garage, mudroom. dining room to kitchen, kitchen to service entrances, laundry to bedrooms, bedrooms to bathrooms. So this is the common traffic considerations what should have been done while taking about the plan. Now we'll take about consideration by area. Okay, so how the entrance should be provided. So entrance should have no direct view into your private zones or work zones from the entry. Should have a coat closet. Coat closet is nothing but hanging up with the clothes or keeping about other accessories in the open itself. Should not open directly into the living area. So that's why we'll be having a foyer space. Your entry should also have always having a foyer space. What is the necessary of a foyer space? You shouldn't openly directly enter into your living space. So a person should enter into your foyer space. From the foyer space, should you enter into your living space. So approximately 35 square feet will be enough for a provision of your foyer space or entry space. Ability to view visitors and the lighting. So what is this foyer space functions? The ability of a person to view who has arrived in your main door. You'll be standing in the foyer space and you'll be looking outside. And the lighting of the space shouldn't be also diminished. It should be also checked. The next area is your living area. Living area should always have a focal point, have a good traffic flow, not through conversation areas, but through other areas. Inside a living space, we'll saw about the entry and exit, how it's diagonally located, how the circulation has been through a periphery. So it's not through a conversation areas, but it should be properly connected. Access to the guest bath or powder room. So always there should be a consideration of having a guest bathroom or a common toilet spaces or common powder room spaces from the living area itself. The reason is for the person to act for that living area is for a social zone. Okay, living area comes under social zone. So when in a social zone, other people will also access the social zone. So while coming, if they want to use the restroom, you shouldn't be taking them inside your private zones. So you should have a powder room or a common bathroom in attached to your living or even it can be shifted or attached from your dining room or from a foyer space itself. Should have ample wall space for furniture placement. So living room should be quite a bigger one. It should have a ample space for having a furniture placements. Should not have direct view into your private zones. Should have a corridor that leads to the private zone. So what can be there? It should from the living room there can be a connectivity to your private zone. That is a corridor can be there, but it shouldn't have a direct view. Should not be there. Okay. Same way, you should not have a direct view into your work zones also. So the next is taking about the kitchen. No traffic through work triangle. Work triangle inside a kitchen is nothing but three things in a kitchen can be considered and as a work triangle. That is your sink, your cooktop, and your refrigerator. Sink is your washing area, cooktop is your preparation area, and the refrigerator is your storage area. So these three things are connected to form the work triangle inside a kitchen. So there shouldn't be any traffic interfering between these work triangles. Okay. Then the garage access should be nearby. Appliances, cabinet doors should not collide each other. Okay. So appliances should have a separate area and the cabinet doors for storage should have a separate areas. These two areas should not also collide while you are designing a kitchen. Then the pantry should be provided separately. Kitchen should not be viewable from the entry. Okay. Then the next one is recommended 10% of total square footage. For a storage space, 10% of total square footage should be there for it is recommended. Location is convenient. Wherever you want, you can have a storage. So the next one is dining rooms. Dining rooms should be near the kitchen for ease for cleanup. Surface sideboards for utensils and food etc. should be provided in the dining room. So that is called as crockery unit area. To store a few utensils and also on the top you can keep your food for serving for purposes. It will be very easy to use. Consider how family eat. Formally sit down, formal sit down, informal sit down, buffet styles, meals on the run, young children. So these are certain things how a family will be eating. That is formal sit down is on the table. Informal sit down is having like an Indian context. We'll be sitting down. And buffet style is like you may have a buffet counter. You'll be standing and having your meal. Meals on the run is like a breakfast counter where you'll be having a bar stool. You'll be sitting having a buffet, having a meal, and you'll be moving away fast. Okay. Then there'll be a small space for having a young children to feed the young children. So these are different things to consider how a family having their food. So the next comes your bedroom. So bedroom is a good bedroom is 120 square feet desired, minimum 70 square feet required by code 9. By 90 square feet allows for a single bed, 120 allows for a double bed, 145 square feet will be good for a bigger bedroom. Okay. So must have an operable windows. Closets can act as a sound barriers. Minimum closet distance is 24-inch deep by 5 feet wide. Okay. So that is the closet accessible distances between your bed. Then it should locate remotely as possible from social areas for privacy. So don't place your bedrooms anywhere nearby your social areas. It should be having inside your private zone. Sound insulation is not necessary, but in other aspects like what we discussed before, like if you're providing a home theater room or other gaming room or not nearby your bedroom spaces, sound insulation is necessary. Adequate wall space to plan furniture layouts. Door swing against the wall. Okay, this is one more thing. Always when you're opening a door, it should be swing towards the wall. Shouldn't be swing towards your other open space, because swing towards the wall will enhance your functional spaces. Swing towards other hand will have a division of spaces which will be very uncomfortable to use. Okay, so this is for bedrooms. The next one is bathroom. Bathroom should have located in connection with your bedroom, that is your private zone. Use back-to-back plumbing spaces. Compartmentalize in family bathrooms. Consider privacy in regard to windows, not on front of the house. So bathroom ventilators, it's better to avoid in front of the house. It's better to provide a bathroom space on the rear side of the house. View into the bathroom ideally should not be a direct view of a toilet. So you should have a wash basin unit. Then bathroom is divided into 3 types of areas. One is dry area, semi-wet area, wet area. Dry area is your wash basin. Semi-wet area is your WC, that is your western closet. Then the wet area will be your shower area. These 3 things has been divided. So initially you can't enter directly into your wet area or a semi-wet area. We'll be entering into your dry area, that is your wash basin first. Then we'll be moving on along with the functional needs. Okay. So the next one is should be near to the linen storage. Master suites have a separate tub or a shower area. Well, then if it is considering a biggest restroom space or biggest bathroom spaces, we'll be having a shower cubicles or a bathtub spaces. These spaces can be also in a suite room. It will be spaced accordingly. Okay. Then the minimum size can be 5 feet by 7 feet, which is a perfect size for designing a bathroom. Okay. So consideration of laundering space. In Indian context, we are not having a laundering space. Instead, we will be having a utility space. So where we'll be having out of view draining. We have to provide utility sinks, cloth rods, ironing, folding, and also freezer is also provided in other countries, but in Indian context, it is not available. Okay. So this is about traffic pattern. So next one is about the floor plans. There's 2 things: open plans and closed plans. So I'll explain about open plans and closed plans for you. So open plan is nothing but there's lot of spaces to be. It's like a studio space. It is actually less expensive to. It's the concept developed by an architect called as Frank Lloyd Wright. It is less expensive to build. Space seems very larger. Flexible layouts, ideal for access. The disadvantage is lacks of privacy and the lack of sound. So for example, if you see here, this plan, you will be having a entrance. This is a living space. This is your kitchen space. This is your dining space. This is your workspace. So everything together is open into a single space. So all the function has been put together. So which is very easy to, which is a flexible layout, which reduce your cost of constructing the walls, which allows one to have a bigger space, look like a bigger space or bigger room, but its lacks of privacy will be there. The sound, it will be very hard for many of the person to use. Okay, so this is a open plan. So closed plan is what we are considering nowadays in our Indian context. It's a walled and have doors, provides more privacy, creates chopped out plans, can control HVAC to areas not often used, not easily accessible, less flexible for furniture layouts. Apart from that, this is a more comfortable one we are using. Okay. Thank you, guys. With this, I'm ending up the session on how to plan out for a residential layout. If you have any queries or any doubts, you can proceed on. We'll be clarifying your doubts and queries.
Yes, sir. We have the questions from the student side. The first question is whether cross ventilation is good or the diagonal ventilation is going to be good. Which one is better?
So cross ventilation is good. Once again, moving to the ventilation aspect, we can see about learning about the wind direction of a space. Depending upon the wind direction and the provision of the rooms, this ventilation aspects can be considered. If you're placing a bedroom in a proper corner space, cross ventilation will be very effective. Diagonal ventilation will be also suitable if you place it in a perfectly corner space, or if you can't able to get a corner space for a particular function. In those aspects, providing a cross ventilation will be very much suitable. But space without cross ventilation or diagonal ventilation will be very much uncomfortable for a person to use.
Okay. The next question from Giri. How do we take all these policies into consideration when planning small houses? What are the ones that can be ignored under such constraints?
Sir, I couldn't get it.
No, the student is asking that what are the policies to be considered when planning small houses? You discussed about so many points. In this, he is asking about which policies are to be considered for planning small houses.
So it's very simple. When you're taking about consideration of a small houses, only few areas will be considered. For example, I'll take about a single bedroom house, which will be having one small small dining space, kitchen space, and a bedroom with an attached toilet. So in this aspects, we'll be having only if you call it, it's a small residence. So obviously the site will be also smaller. So the location of the each space is very much important. Consider location of the spaces, then your ventilation spaces and your openings. These three policies will be very much effective. These three policies alone can be incorporated in small residences also.
Okay. What is meant by 2.5 BHK? That are the advertisements are available in newspaper daily. So what is meant by the 2.5 BHK?
Actually, 2.5 BHK, it's nothing but 2 BHK will be there, and another one small room which is called as a study room will be there. That's what they are mentioning it as 2.5 BHK, and that small study room is not considered as a bedroom, but they are considering it as a 0.5 in the BHK.
Okay. Is there any interior courses is commonly available to study by civil engineer student also?
Yes, interior courses are there available. The spaces, then your ventilation spaces and your openings. These three policies will be very much effective. These three policies can be small residences also.
Okay. Is interior courses வந்து எங்க படிக்கிற courses open choices இருக்கா civil engineers?
Yes, sir, it's there available. It's not interior courses are readily available not only for civil engineers, for all the engineering students. Interior courses are available. It's like a 6-month rapid fire interior courses are available in colleges in North India, but in South India, I haven't heard about interior courses on a short-term basis. But in North India, it's there. Even in foreign countries, interior courses are there, or like 6-month courses or 1-year courses for interiors.
Okay. Can we provide wooden flooring in our cities like foreign countries?
Yes, sir. Many of them are going for wooden flooring. There's 2 different types of wooden flooring are now available. One is laminated wooden flooring and solid wooden flooring. So laminated wooden flooring is like We are using an engineered wood. Upon that, laminated thing is there. On top of the small wooden flooring is there. Nowadays, wooden flooring. The main concept behind using a wooden flooring is for only cold climate. That's why in spaces like Ooty and Kodaikanal, we'll be having a wooden flooring. In modern city context, we are not using a wooden flooring because climatic aspects is also plays a role over there. But people are using wooden flooring to have a luxurious feeling inside city context nowadays. So for aesthetical purpose, yes, we can use. There's nothing wrong in using a wooden flooring. But considering the climate factors, there's lots of other maintenance related issues we have to face.
How can these policies can be followed in apartment houses while you're considering? For apartment, for example, my adding my question also. In apartment, if you see that there are randomly dimensions, why it should be?
Sir, because while designing an apartment, it's like we are first thing this in apartments. It's very hard to follow this Vastu Shastra and location of rooms. So in an apartment nowadays, they are having an open planning, like what I mentioned in the last one. Well, providing an open planning will be very suitable for an apartment space, like opening up of living, dining, and kitchen together, and providing a privacy space only for a bedroom is suitable for an apartment design. But when we consider for a complete private apartment spaces, if it is for a small sized apartments like having only 2 to 3 residential spaces in one floor, it will be very easier. But when we are having more than 2 to 3 houses in a floor, we are going for 5 to 8 houses in a single floor. It will be very difficult to have a location of the houses based on your climatic factors and the openings accordingly. So in an apartment planning, same wise, it's very difficult to go with your cross ventilation and your diagonal ventilation also. So that's why in an apartment, most of the spaces won't be having your ventilation aspects itself.
Okay. Why nowadays sunshades are not provided in normal houses? Architects are giving some type of structure without sunshades. Why?
Actually, it's a good question. Actually, sunshades is a very important role. Even I have faced lots of difficulties while providing these sunshades. Sunshades have been avoided by architects only for aesthetical purpose. Other than that, it's not about any bigger needs. But providing a sunshade is very much effective, and it's also considered as structurally also. There's lots of difficulties faced if sunshade hasn't been provided. So what we are doing nowadays in terms of meeting up with two aspects. One is aesthetic purpose also, and another one is architectural purpose also. Instead of providing a sunshade, we are going with bigger walls and projecting the walls outside, recessing the windows inside, so that the entire wall is acting as a sunshade. Though such a kind of architectural elements we are using nowadays. But in spite of that, providing a sunshade will be more advantage than without giving a sunshade.
Nowadays, architects are preferring only fixed glasses for elevation purposes as well as inside the houses also, rooms also. Why?
The reason is to provide more amount of lighting inside a space. If you can see, fixed glasses, more amount of fixed glasses has been provided only for living spaces and dining spaces. Apart from that, bedroom spaces or not, we are not providing bigger amount of opening spaces. Only in living spaces, we are providing big amount of opening because it will allow more lighting to enter into a space. So it can be very effective. In that scenarios, they are providing fixed glazing. Apart from that, few other areas that we can't provide openings because of most major wind flow will be there. So only a less amount of opening will be sufficient, so that we are providing a fixed glazing.
In Europe countries, they are providing toilets in the entrance itself. Whereas in Indians, previously we used to kept like that. Nowadays, we are keeping at the last of the building. Why?
Sorry, sir, I couldn't get you. What? Come again,
in British countries, they are using to keep toilet at the entrance of their home itself. Previously, Indians also followed that, but nowadays they are keeping it's like hiding like that toilet rooms. Why?
Two things, sir. One is in initial days in foreign countries also, toilet is considered as a restroom spaces. So which is a basic need. So not only for a residential purpose, others who request to use the toilet also will be allowed in foreign countries. In Indian context also, we'll be having the restrooms outside in olden days and all, if you can see. So it's like toilet spaces will be always having a separate thing apart from the residential thing. But nowadays, considering the privacy, we want a toilet space attached inside a bedroom space itself, because more about the privacy matters nowadays rather than having a toilet space outside. So that's the only reason we are having a toilet space attached to a bedroom.
கார்த்திக் சார் ஒரே நிமிஷம்.
ஓகே,
நீங்க இந்த சொன்னீங்கல்ல யூரோப்பியன்ல வந்து டாய்லெட் முன்னாடி வைக்கிறா நம்ம இது பண்ணிருந்தோம்.
எஸ் சார்.
ஒரு சிம்பிளா நம்ம ஸ்கூல்ல படிக்கும்போது நம்ம ஹிஸ்டரி வாத்தியார் சொல்லுவாரு, ஹிஸ்டரி பத்தி சொல்லும்போது வெள்ளக்காரனுக்கு நமக்கு ஒன்றும் வித்தியாசம் இல்லப்பா, அவன் மறைவா டாய்லெட் போய் ஓப்பனா திங்கிறான், நம்ம வந்து மறைவா தின்னுட்டு ஓப்பனா போயிட்டு இருக்கிறோம்.
ஓகே,
சும்மா தமாஸ்காக சொன்னேன், ஒரு ஹிஸ்டரி பத்தி சொல்றதுக்காக சொல்லுவார்.
சரி.
சொல்லுங்க, அடுத்த கேள்வி கேளுங்க.
Nowadays veranda concept is no longer available. Why, sir?
No longer available னு சொல்ல முடியாது சார், because நானே 2-3 few clients இருக்காங்க where they want to have a ஃபார்ம் ஹவுஸ் மாதிரி இருக்கிறதுக்கு வந்து வெராண்டா வச்சு தான் டிசைன் பண்ணி கொடுக்குறோம். டிசைன் பண்ணி கேட்கறாங்க வெராண்டா வேணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. நம்ம இப்போ ஏன் வெராண்டா வைக்கிறது இல்லைன்னு கேட்டோம்னா, இன் ஓல்டன் டேஸ் வயல்வெளியை பார்த்து உட்கார்ந்து ரிலாக்ஸ் பண்ணணும்னு நினைப்பாங்க. ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு வந்து வெராண்டா ஸ்பேஸ் வேணும், பிகாஸ் வெராண்டாக்கு முன்னாடி தே வில் சிட் டுகெதர், தே ஹேவ் அ சிட் சாட். அப்பார்ட் ஃப்ரம் தட் அவங்களோட வயல்வெளிகளை பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பாங்கிற மாதிரி உட்காருவாங்க. பட் நவ் இன் சிட்டி கான்டெக்ட்ல வந்து அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு நீட் அண்ட் நெசசிட்டி இஸ் நாட் தேர். ஸோ எல்லாமே வந்து சுத்தி மற்ற வீடு மற்ற இதுதான் வந்துருச்சு, ரோட் நெட்வொர்க்ஸ் தான் இருக்கு. ஸோ அதனால வந்து வெராண்டா கான்செப்ட்ஸ் வந்து டோட்டலா அவாய்ட் பண்ணிடுறாங்க. சின்னதா ஒரு சிட் அவுட் ஏரியா மட்டும் தான் விரும்புறாங்க. மேஜர் ஓவர் பாத்தீங்கன்னா நம்ம we are nowadays going for first floors. ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃப்ளோர்ஸ்ல வந்து வித் பால்கனி ஸ்பேசஸ் அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் ப்ரொவைட் பண்றதுனால கீழே வந்து வராண்டா ஸ்பேசஸ்ங்கிறதே அவாய்ட் பண்ணிடுறாங்க சிட்டி கான்டெக்ட்ல. பட் ஸ்டில் இப்போ சினாரியாலையும் ஃபார்ம் ஹவுஸ் கட்டுறவங்க எல்லாம் வந்து வித் வராண்டா ஸ்பேசஸோட தான் கட்டி தராங்க.
So that's all about the queries from the student side. Okay, over to Pandit Selvam sir.
காமேஷ்
அங்கிள் சொல்லுங்க சார்.
நீங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சொல்லும்போது வாஸ்து பத்தி போட்டு காட்டினீங்க.
ஆமா அங்கிள்.
இப்போ வந்து நம்ம வந்து அவாய்ட் பண்ண முடியறது இல்ல வாஸ்து வந்து nowadays குறிப்பா இந்த
one of the elements of designing and planning மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு அங்கிள்.
10-15 வருஷத்துல வந்து நம்ம ஒன்னும் அதை அவாய்ட் பண்ண முடியறதில்ல வாஸ்துவை. ஓகேவா?
கண்டிப்பா அங்கிள்.
வாஸ்து ஆனா நமக்கு யாருக்குமே வந்து சப்ஜெக்ட்ல கிடையாது.
கண்டிப்பா அங்கிள்.
ஆர்கிடெக்சர்லயும் கிடையாது, சிவில் இன்ஜினியரிங்லயும் கிடையாது.
ஆமா அங்கிள், வாஸ்துங்கிறது சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸா வரல.
வாஸ்துங்கிறது ஒண்ணுமே நமக்கு வந்து கிடையாது.
கண்டிப்பா அங்கிள்.
ஆனா இன்னைக்கு நவடேஸ் வந்து இப்போ வாஸ்து இல்லைன்னா நம்ம வந்து தொழில் பண்ண முடியல.
அது என்ன உண்மைதான் அங்கிள்.
ஓகே, இன்ஃபேக்ட் நானே நாத்திகம் தான் இருந்தாலும் நான் வந்து வாஸ்து இல்லாம பண்ணனா என் வீடு விற்காது.
இல்ல வாஸ்து ஆக்சுவலி வந்து லாட்ஸ் ஆஃப் பிளானிங் கான்செப்ட்ஸ்லயே வந்து வாஸ்து ரொம்ப இடிக்கதான் செய்யுது. எங்க ஆர்கிடெக்ட்ஸ்க்கே வந்து பிளானிங் பண்றப்ப நிறைய இடத்துல வந்து வாஸ்துங்கிற இது வந்து ஸ்பாயிலரா தான் இதாகுது. பட் ஸ்டில் வந்து நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி வாஸ்து இல்லாம டுடே பிளானிங் கான்செப்ட்ஸ் யாருமே பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. ஃபார் இட் பிகாஸ் மென்டலி வந்து அவங்க அதுக்கு அடாப்ட் ஆயிட்டாங்க.
இன்ஃபேக்ட் நமக்கு சயின்ஸ் ஆஸ் பர் த சயின்ஸ் பார்த்தோம்னா ஓகே, லொக்கேட் நம்ம வந்து கிச்சன் வந்து சவுத் வெஸ்ட்ல பண்றோம், பெட்ரூம் வந்து நார்த் வெஸ்ட்ல பண்றோம், ஓகே வென்டிலேஷன் பர்பஸ் பண்றோம். ஆனா இதே இன்னைக்கு வந்து அதை தொழிலா பண்ணிட்டாங்க.
ஆமாங்க, எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் ஒன் ஆஃப் மை ஃப்ரெண்ட் வந்து வாஸ்துல வந்து ஹி டிட் டெசர்டேஷன் பண்ணாப்ல, காலேஜ் மாஸ்டர்ஸ் பண்றப்ப டெசர்டேஷன் பண்ணாப்ல ஆன் வாஸ்து சாஸ்திராஸே வந்து பண்ணாப்ல. அப்போ அவர் வந்து R&D ரிசர்ச் பண்ணிட்டு வந்து என்ன சொன்னாப்லன்னா, வாஸ்து சாஸ்திரா இஸ் நத்திங் பட் பியூர் சயின்ஸ் ரிலேட்டட் தான். நம்ம பில்டிங்கோட ஒவ்வொரு ரூமோட ஃபங்க்ஷன் பேஸ்டா லொகேஷன்ங்கிறது தான் வாஸ்து சாஸ்திரம் தவிர, அண்ட் அதுல வந்து இவங்க மென்டலா அடாப்ட் ஆகிற அளவுக்கு அதுல பெருசா இது இல்லை. பட் சயின்டிபிக் ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ் வந்து இப்ப மென்டல் ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸா மாறிடுச்சு அப்படிங்கறதுதான் அவரு கடைசியில அவரோட ரிசர்ச்சோட எண்ட்ல வந்து ப்ரூவ் பண்ணாது அந்த தியரிய.
ஓகே 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 காமேஷ். ஓகே, ரொம்ப என்ன சொல்றது, நல்லா எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணீங்க எங்கள் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு.
ஓகேங்க.
இன்ஃபேக்ட் நாங்களும் கொஞ்சம் நிறையா தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டோம்.
கண்டிப்பா
வளர்ந்து வரும் இளம் ஆர்கிடெக்ட் ரொம்ப நல்லா பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறீங்கன்னு கேள்விப்பட்டேன்.
கண்டிப்பா அங்கிள்.
வாழ்த்துக்கள், ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம், நல்லா பண்ணுங்க.
ஷூர் ஷூர் அங்கிள், கண்டிப்பா பண்ணுங்க.
அப்பப்போ எங்கள் மாணவர்களோட வந்து இன்ட்ராக்ட் பண்ணிக்கங்க, சிவில் இன்ஜினியரிங் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸோட.
கண்டிப்பா அங்கிள், பண்ணலாம் அங்கிள், ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை.
இந்த கொரோனா முடிஞ்சது உங்களை கூப்பிடுறோம், உங்களை காலேஜுக்கு கூப்பிடுறோம்.
ஓகே அங்கிள்.
வந்து கொஞ்சம் பிளானிங் எங்களுக்கு பண்ணி கொடுங்க.
ஓகே அங்கிள், ஷூர், கண்டிப்பா அங்கிள்.
ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச்.
தேங்க்யூ அங்கிள்.
ஓகே கார்த்திக் சார்.
எஸ் சார், தேங்க்ஸ் சார்.
நாளை மீண்டும் சந்திப்போம், மண்டே சந்திப்போம்.
தேங்க்யூ காமேஷ், and thank you Pandit.
Thank you காமேஷ்.
தேங்க்யூ சார்.
Thank you all. Thank you.